Moist Meter was brought to you by Amazon Music. Sign up for free below using our referral code.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Free Guy, the new Jacksepticeye film. Jacksepticeye was able to get some big stars attached to this project, such as Ryan Reynolds and Pokimane, and I think it's a really fun concept that was executed really well. Now, setting aside my jealousy and envy of Jacksepticeye, I found this movie very entertaining. I was on board right away with the concept. It focuses on an online video game like GTA Online, but without the 12-year-olds telling you they fucked your mom or screaming for you to follow their TikToks and shit like that. It's this GTA-style game, fucking chaos, pandemonium, death, guns, titties, all, going wild out there. And then there's one NPC who over time starts to get bored and begins to become sentient. And then he becomes this badass on the game and then a badass in the real world because people are taking notice. And then it starts to get into some real world repercussions and some things that happen outside of the game. And all of them I think are explored really well. And I think the main thing that you need to accept going into this movie is there's going to be moments that'll make you feel a little weird. There's those classic gamer-isms in here. I heard the word noob 4 times in this movie, and that's the first time I heard the word noob since 2009. So that was both nostalgic and sent me down like a fucking PTSD Winter Soldier episode. So yeah, just make sure you go in there with an open mind and open cheeks and just let it ass blast you with a little bit of fun, out-of-touch gamer shit. You'll have a YouTuber or a streamer, maybe Ninja is even in this movie, don't want to spoil anything, but maybe Ninja says something like, he's pwning, he's an NPC and he's pwning, might be in there, not to give anything away. But I think that it doesn't take away from the movie when there's obvious parts where someone who wrote it has never heard of a video game in their life. There's nothing wrong with that, because overall I think they nail the theme and they really capture what they wanted to here. It's just a fun, feel-good movie. Ryan Reynolds, of course, is playing Ryan Reynolds as he has for the last few years, and I love that. I like Ryan Reynolds. It's really hard not to like Ryan Reynolds. I just really enjoy Ryan Reynolds' work. It still puts a big smile on my face, a big goofy grin every time I'm listening to Ryan Reynolds crack some jokes. I think he's just really enjoyable to watch, and that is the case for this movie as well. I would be fucking disappointed if I went to a movie that had Ryan Reynolds' name on it and he wasn't playing himself. If they had him like dressed up in a costume like he's playing Captain Ahab or something with some, actual serious role, I'd be upset. I'd be mad at Ryan. I'd be like, what the fuck is this? You've wasted my time here. You're not Ryan Reynolds, you're Captain Ahab now. I wouldn't like that. So I like that he just keeps playing himself, because I think that's a really fun character to watch on screen. It's great. And it was the case here for sure. I enjoyed most things about this movie. I don't really have any complaints. I think there's a lot of moments in this where it's like, oh, that's doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it doesn't need to either in order to get the point across. There's no reason to come in here and start poking holes into the Free Guy condom, because it's not trying to be more than just a fun, feel-good movie, which I think it absolutely nails. But I will say there are a couple parts of this movie where it actually seems like fanfic, like a wet dream that a gamer would have back in 2010. A big plot point is a particular stream. I'm not getting into spoilers, but at one point in this movie, every single human being on the planet is tuning into a stream of this game and something going on in the game. And that was a little wild to me. Like, even the news, every news channel they're flipping through, it's like, in Free City, the video game online, you can see blue shirt guy taking a shit. This is incredible. Like, for some reason, this video game is so popular that everyone in the world is watching it on their phones at all times or playing it themselves. That's not like a complaint or anything. Obviously, it's not going for like a super realistic movie or something, but it was kind of wacky to see. Nothing wrong with that. Anyway, it's a fun movie. I think the humor lands a lot. Not every joke is a gut buster, it's not going to be a side splitter every moment, but I think it does comedy very well here. I think Ryan Reynolds always nails the comedic aspects of his film. And I think the main things that it wanted to do, it accomplished. It's a fun movie. It's engaging. When there is action in the video game world, I think it's done really well. The action's super cool. It blends like modern gameplay stuff with just shooting with like some old school stuff. So you'll see some Easter eggs from beloved games and properties like the portal gun. I'm pretty sure that was in the trailers, so that's not a spoiler. So you'll see things from other games that'll make you point at the screen and go like, I know where that's from, and then they'll use it in a cool way. So it's just a fun movie, no real complaints from me. I don't think it's like a must-see or anything, but I think it is just an enjoyable, fun, adventure, comedy, action movie. Plugging it into the Moist meter, I'm giving Free Guy a nice, clean 85%. That's about it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Yeah, this movie is fucking great. Chances are you don't know anything about Parasite, haven't seen anything from it, unless you've seen people online constantly praising it and jerking off about it. But they're jerking off for a good reason. This movie is magnificent. In essence, the movie is about rich versus poor. You have a less fortunate family and a very fortunate, very wealthy 1% family. And at some point, one of the children from the less fortunate family begins tutoring the daughter of the rich family and begins to brew a scheme to exploit them. The first half of the movie is spent setting up the difference between the two classes. They use a lot of humor during this period, and the humor for the most part lands. Some jokes fall flat, it could be a translation thing, but for the most part the humor's on point. They immediately show you what it's like being on the bottom of the food chain. They have them, trying to steal Wi-Fi from upstairs. There's a fumigation crew going around. They keep the windows open so the fucking chemicals blow in while they're folding pizza boxes, so that way they get free fumigation. They are not doing well. They're just struggling to get by. There's drunk people pissing on their property, damn near using the drunk man's urine as a shower to save money on water. It is not a good living situation, but at some point, the son gets a break and gets to tutor a rich family for pay. When you see the rich family, it's totally different. It's beautiful. It's an incredible landscape, and quite literally the difference in their social status is shown just in the altitude of where they live. The less fortunate family lives in a basement. The rich family lives in a hilltop mansion. And this changes their perspective on things drastically. For example, a biblical rainstorm blows in, one that would make Moses wet his pants in fear, comes in, and the rich family just views it as just a beautiful thing put there for their own entertainment. This storm is a blessing, they say in the movie. It looks great through their windows. Their son goes out camping in it because to them, it's no big deal. It's just a cute little storm. But to the less fortunate family, that shit is disaster because it floods their home, their basement. It gets ruined. Sewage spraying everywhere. The fucking toilets overflowing, spewing shit out like some type of volcanic eruption of ass feces. It's very different. And they do a great job of showing you all of these things. There's so much attention to detail and so many great shots to establish these things. Even just something as simple as going from the rich house to their own place. The difference in the journey. They have to go down like fucking 50 flights of stairs, like it's a reverse Rocky montage, going from the top of the food chain back down to the basement. It's just a really cleverly made movie that does a great job of bringing you into the universe and making you care about the characters. And they don't set up the rich families like some evil, cartoonishly mustache-twirling evil villains, spitting on the poor. Get away from me. Oh, I must wash my hands now because it was near poverty. Oh my goodness. I won't shit right for a week. I'll have to have 2 maidens wipe my ass. They don't do that. They actually have you care about that family as well. But it shows you the difference, even in the unintentional elitism. It is just so well crafted. I can't gush about this movie enough. The acting is on point as well. It's so good. I really, really cared about pretty much every character, and their performances were super fucking solid. What I imagine the biggest turnoff will be for this movie is it's entirely subtitles. Unless you speak the language, you're going to be reading subtitles the entire movie. So if you're unaccustomed to that, like if you don't watch anime, if you haven't opened your third eye and started anime yet, you're not going to be used to reading subtitles in a movie, I imagine. And for a lot of people, that's probably a turnoff. But I definitely think it's worth it, even if this is your first time reading subtitles in a movie, going in a subtitle virgin, the subs crew coming in. It's definitely worth it. This movie, it has such a clever story to tell. Its humor is great. And at the second half of the movie, there's a tonal shift, a huge turning point where it gets very dark and very serious, very real. And I didn't expect it, and it was so great. It's just this whole movie is really, really good. Plugging Parasite into the Moist meter, I'm giving it a 95%. For me, it's tied for my favorite movie of the year, tied with Joker. I really can't decide which I like more. They're both great movies. Parasite, though, is something entirely unique that I haven't seen before. I'm unfamiliar with the work of Bong Joon-ho, the director of this piece. The only film I've seen from him is Snowpiercer, which I liked, but he has a whole catalog of bangers, which I'm probably going to go revisit or go visit for the first time after seeing this, because this was just such an incredible display of talent just across the board. Writing, cinematography, just everything. It nails it. It is a great movie that I can't recommend enough. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Dune. I'll be honest and upfront right away. I've never read the books, so I don't know anything about the Dune lore. But I did see the 80s movie when I was a kid, and I don't remember fuck all about it. I just remember those giant worms. So when the new Dune movie was announced, I wasn't exactly pumping my fist like, yeah, more worms, let's go, baby. You know, I wasn't going wild, but the trailer looked very cool and was enough to capture my attention and make me pretty excited. And I'm happy to say, god damn, this movie is really pretty. Like, visuals in this movie are on another level. Like, shit. And it has Hans Zimmer complimenting the visuals, so when you're watching this movie, you're getting like this goddamn euphoric sensation. It's like a Redditor who found atheism. Like, it's you just go into like a whole nother state. It's like, Jesus Christ, I didn't even know movies could look this good. On a visual and audio level, it's a goddamn masterpiece. It's 2.5 hours, and every single scene is beautiful. So yeah, definite 10 out of 10 from the visuals and soundtrack department. I hope your eyes are ready to come. Now let's move on to the narrative. So this is supposed to be a franchise starter. This is part 1 of hopefully 2. And with that in mind, I think it's great. If we never see a part 2, goddamn, then this movie serves no purpose. That's my biggest complaint. This movie feels like it is only the very beginning. There's no like conclusion. It ends abruptly. There's no depth to some of the characters. They just kind of go off screen and then you don't see them again for the rest of the movie because it's only part 1. I imagine they'll be more important in part 2 and you'll get more depth to them. So with that in mind, I'm excited for part 2, but if we don't get a part 2, then everything in part 1 is completely just worthless. Like I said, there's no conclusion or closure. It just goes, full throttle, nuts to butts, and then all of a sudden, bang, we're pulling out. And then you would expect the next episode to start and pick up where we left off, only that next episode isn't confirmed yet. So it's a movie that solely exists to set the stage for the next movie, which is fine because it does a great job of that, and I'm super excited. But it's a little worrisome that the second one isn't confirmed yet, because if it doesn't ever come out, then this movie doesn't really have a reason to exist, because the movie is all foreplay, just getting you sweaty and ready to finish in the sequel. In other franchises, the first part that puts it all in motion feels like a complete package sometimes, where it's like, okay, I got an entire experience out of that, and it set the stage going forward. Dune is not like that. It's not like a standard 3-act movie. There is no Act 1, 2, and 3 in Dune. It is all just Act 1. And when it ends, it starts to show you what Act 2 is going to pick up on. Take, for example, Infinity War. Infinity War gives you like a climactic fight between the Avengers and Thanos, and then it has a conclusion that ends on a cliffhanger, and you immediately know that it's going to be picked up on with the follow-up movie. Dune doesn't have that. There isn't like a climactic battle where the main character's fighting off against the main evil or anything. There's no big climactic moment that you engage on and then have like a cliffhanger. You're just going about like this entire intro and then it just ends. And you don't even know if there's going to be a sequel to pick up on it where you reach the climax and everything. Like I said, it all just feels like just Act 1. It's an incomplete story and you can feel that, which is fine if there is a part 2. So you don't really get like a full satisfactory experience out of it, but you know that there's more to it, and that's what makes me excited for a sequel, if there is one. But if there isn't, then this movie doesn't really give you a whole lot other than just a visual spectacle, which is fine too, because like I said, it is truly beautiful. I think the narrative is great. They feed you so much information so quickly that it can be confusing sometimes, but it eventually started to piece everything together. I got a little bit lost in the sauce with all the visions that Paul was having, but the actor playing Paul, Timothy, last name, I can't pronounce his last name, but Timothy fucking killed it as Paul. Everyone did a great job in the movie, and I was really invested in the story. Like, they introduce all these politics, they show you how the world works, introducing the spice and how important that is. Just a really fucking cool setup, and the way that I feel about this movie is going to be entirely dependent on if there is a second part ever made. Because if there isn't, then I'm probably not going to look back super fondly on this movie other than just the boners that I popped while looking at it because it's so beautiful. And that'll be about it. But if there is an Act 2 and they land it like they did with this one, this is going to be one of the best fucking 2 sci-fi movies I've ever seen, because I fucking loved it. I really did. I just feel like it's a little hard to really say like this is a fucking masterpiece when it just doesn't feel complete, because it's obviously just setting itself up for more. So if the more doesn't come, this all just doesn't work super well. But I really liked it. And just to give you a further example of what I mean, one of the main characters that's advertised in all of the trailers for this film is only in the last 15 minutes of the movie. They're hinted at throughout some visions, but they're only actually in the movie in the last 15 minutes. That's when they're introduced. Obviously, they're going to be more important in the next one, because they're a very important character. But yeah, that's really my only complaint, and it's only a complaint because the second movie isn't confirmed. If the second movie was confirmed, then I'd be wiggling my finger up here like, okay, can't wait for more. But the fact that that's up in the air is a little scary for, like, this movie. Because this movie only works if there is a second one to follow it up. Because this is all just like Blue Balls, and it needs the second one. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's a really enjoyable movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. I would like to point out 2 other things that I thought were very silly. The fucking shields in this movie are worthless. This isn't a spoiler or anything, but the characters have shields, right? Like, all the warriors and everything, they activate a shield, and it's supposed to be like good defense. But I swear to God, it's like they're wearing paper. It does nothing. It doesn't stop knives. It doesn't even stop like fucking someone flicking water on them. It doesn't do anything. The shields don't do shit. They'd be better off being naked. It's terrible. I don't even know why I have the shields in the first place. There isn't a single scene in this movie where a shield saves someone. There is one scene, and I had to make note of it, where a shield does help a ship once because it gets hit by debris, and the shield blocks it a little bit, so then the ship only starts spinning. But that is the only time a shield is ever useful here. Every other character, when they're stabbed, it just goes straight through, like butter. It almost makes it easier for them to get stabbed, it seems. So yeah, the shield's silly, and there's a lot of cheese to the movie, at least in a couple of places. Like, the dialogue's really well done, the writing's great, but there's like a couple of cheesy moments where, you know, when they land on Arachnus, a dude with bagpipes just comes out of the ship to introduce the higher-ups. It's like, hey, these guys are really important. Check out the bagpipe guy, the dedicated galactic bagpiper. So he just comes out of the ship ripping on the bagpipes. And it's like, oh, that's a little odd. But yeah, I mean, it's not like a complaint. I just wanted to point out those 2 things, like, that was a bit strange. But yeah, anyway, let's plug Dune into the Moist meter. I'm giving it a 90%. I really did like it. Now, obviously, I won't feel that way about the movie if it turns out Warner Bros. Puts the kibosh on the whole thing and just says, bah humbug, there'll never be a Dune 2. Then obviously that would change how I feel about this movie, because it's an incomplete story and you can really feel that. So it's entirely hinging on if there's a second movie to complete the story. They do a great job of setting everything up. I had a lot of fun watching it. It is so beautiful. I can't stress that enough. And Hans Zimmer, per usual, crushes it on the score. It sounds so good. Like, it's a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. That's about it. So yeah.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at A Quiet Place Part 2. Typically when you hear of a sequel being made, you roll your eyes and you go in there kind of excited but expecting it to be worse than the original. And especially when it comes to a horror movie sequel, you're 100% expecting it to suck fat asshole, just some straight dog shit. And off the top of my head, I can't think of a horror movie whose sequel was any good at all. Also, John Krasinski himself said he didn't really want to do a sequel to A Quiet Place, even though he left a couple of plot threads open in the first movie to explore later on potentially. He said he didn't really want a sequel to it. So, before going to see this movie, I kind of expected it might be a bit of a cash grab, just the producers trying to suckle on the sweet bosom of Krasinski one more time and milk the franchise. I thought it was going to be a bit soulless, but I couldn't have been more wrong. This movie absolutely slaps. I was extremely excited to see that there wasn't some crazy time jump that a lot of sequels do where it was like 500 years into the future. Alright, all those characters you love in the first movie, they're dead now and no one remembers them. So let's pick up here. This movie picks up exactly where the first one leaves off and continues the story. I hate when movies have that fucking cop-out where they don't feel like putting any effort into writing, so they're like, okay, let's just have a big time jump and just come up with new shit. This movie picks up everything and continues it. I love that. And the movie gives you day one. What happened on day one, it shows you the pure pandemonium and the chaos when the monsters first start showing up in the world, and how the Krasinski and his family handle it and what they go through on the genesis of the nightmare. It is beautiful. This movie is filmed perfectly. That's never even something I really talk about because for me it doesn't matter too much. But in this movie, it is so clear to even a fucking dummy like me that Krasinski is a significantly more talented director than pretty much everyone else in horror right now. In pretty much every other horror movie, the focus is on the creepy shit, like, oh, look at this monster we made. There's blood in its teeth because it just ate a person. How gross. But in A Quiet Place Part 2, the focus is, look at how the people are responding to the shit here. They're always like the actual focus of every shot. The monsters are there, but they're not just like the entire camera, right? Like it doesn't just glue to the monster to make you feel uneasy. It's showing you all the characters trying to survive. So for example, like in the day one scene, the monsters chasing people around, slaughtering people left and right, and instead of like showing gore and guts, intestines, bowels, titties, assholes flying all over the place, it instead focuses on you watching Krasinski and his family trying to survive it, which is a lot more powerful. So you'll see the monster doing all these things in the background as the family's trying to get away from it and survive, and I think that's so much more effective at building tension, and I could really appreciate that. The whole movie does a great job at building tension, but I do have to say, I think the first A Quiet Place did it better. The difference between A Quiet Place 1 and A Quiet Place Part 2 is in the first one, the tension is built through not understanding the monsters yet. You, as the viewer, haven't really seen what they're capable of doing. You haven't been acclimated to the environment. It's all foreign. And as far as you know, the fucking things are invincible. It could be Superman hunting people down out there. A Quiet Place Part 1 is able to build tension through just the unknown. That's always one of the most powerful elements of a horror movie, is making the viewer use their imagination. That's always going to be the scariest part of horror movies. Once you show them, then that kind of goes out the window. But it's not really like a bad thing, because A Quiet Place is built more on its characters than its monsters, in my opinion, and how they're always making smart decisions. Quiet Place Part 1, they have an incredible setup at the farm that's super thorough and well thought out. It's genius. And in Quiet Place Part 2, they're still smart. They're still making very smart decisions. So that continues, but now that you've seen the monsters, you know their weakness, you've seen them die, it loses that little bit of like, what the fuck is it? How the fuck are they gonna survive these things? Because now you kind of understand where things could go. You've seen the boogeyman, and you've seen him bleed. You've seen him flaccid, he's not as scary anymore. So that element of the unknown is gone, so I don't think the tension buildup is quite as strong as it was in the first one, but it's also not like a fault of the movie here. It's a sequel. Like, what the fuck are they gonna do? Introduce a new monster? Oh, here's this monster, and now here's a monster that hunts by the smell. It can smell the future. You know, like, obviously they were gonna use the same monster that you've now seen the weakness of, so it's not like anything they could really do about that. I'm just saying I do believe the first one did it a little better just because, you know, it was so brand fucking new. This movie is still extremely good. When it's building tension, it does it better than pretty much anything else in the genre that I can think of. It really is an extremely great movie. A very simple plot. Go here, do this. Bang. That's about it. There's nothing convoluted where they need to time travel in order to stop a meteor from crashing into Earth that unleashes aliens or something. It's very simple. And I think that works really well because then you just get to go on this journey with the characters that seems like a pretty fucking tough journey, considering if someone so much as sneezes or farts along the journey, the monsters come crashing in. At any point that you hear sound in this movie, you can expect a monster to just fucking parachute in, ready for action. So in this very scary world, they go on an extremely dangerous adventure, and it is an absolute joy to watch. Another rare thing that I mentioned in A Quiet Place Moist Meter from 3 years ago is that the acting was incredible. And I'm going to mention it again here because the acting really is fucking incredible. Like when a character's in pain, you can feel it. Like it really looks and sounds like the characters are in pain. Most of the movie is silent, obviously, because they don't want to all just get mauled by these monsters. But sometimes pain happens along the way. You know, someone steps in a bear trap and they're fucking screaming and wailing, sweating, and it really looks like someone actually stepped in a bear trap. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if a year from now, the actor playing the character comes out and just says, yeah, John Krasinski just made me step in a bear trap so the scene looked really real. What you see on screen is actually how I responded to stepping in a fucking bear trap. Like, it is really, really, like, impressive how well these characters deliver their performance. Like, it sells it, and it really brings the movie up. And really, the whole movie's just great. I'm not going to get into anything spoilery, but it's a really fun movie that is a really good sequel. I think it's just as good as the original. So, plugging A Quiet Place Part 2 into the Moist Meter, I'm giving it a 90%. I don't think it's better than the original, and I don't think it's worse. I think it's just as good, and I think it's about as good as a sequel could possibly be. To be honest, it is really, really well done, and I truly think between A Quiet Place 1 and 2, John Krasinski has created a horror movie staple. These are really masterclasses in the genre, if you ask me. It's a unique concept executed beautifully. Helix. As I've mentioned in the past, it is extremely important that you have the right mattress to be getting a good night's rest. It is important to your overall health. The one thing you should never skimp on is a mattress, and Helix mattresses are some of the best that you can find. Helix mattresses aren't just like a cookie cutter thing. They have a unique sleep quiz that you take that'll match your unique body type to a mattress that fits you best. Mine personally, I used to wake up with low back pain because my mattress was too soft, but Helix mattress noticed that my mattress may have been too soft and got me something a little bit more firm. Not super firm, I wasn't, sleeping on rocks, but it was firm enough where my back wasn't like drooping in the night, so I didn't have the low back pain with the Helix mattress. So the sleep quiz really does help match you to a mattress that'll fit. Helix mattresses offer free shipping right to your door. They come rolled up in a box so it's easy to set up, and they also come with a 100-night sleep trial, so you get more than 3 months to make sure you love it, and if you don't, Helix will pick it up for you and you get a full refund. If you're interested in trying Helix mattresses for yourself, you can go to helixsleep.com/moist to get up to $200 off your Helix mattress, plus 2 pillows for free. That's helixsleep.com/moist to get up to $200 off the mattress and 2 pillows for free.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Attack on Titan's final season. I think this show is going to be up there with some of the big anime greats. This is a show that everyone talks about. It's one of the few shows that pretty much trends on Twitter every single new episode that airs. It's a show that has captured a lot of people, and rightfully so. I think it's a very unique show. Its storytelling, albeit at times a bit weak, is still overall really enjoyable. It tells a really compelling and interesting story. And I know that's like a controversial thing to say, but I really do think Attack on Titan has one of the better delivered stories in modern anime. I was pretty much glued to every fucking episode this season, getting answers to questions that we've had for years. Felt amazing. Watching, there are going to be a few spoilers here. I'm not going to spoil the whole season, but a few things I'm going to need to touch on for the review. Watching Eren's transformation into the big bad villain that he has become, a heartless, fucking ruthless man, has been really wild. I've followed the show every single time it's aired since it began. Season 1, I watched it week by week for the entire season 1, same with 2 and 3 and now 4. So I really feel like over the course of fucking almost, 8-9 years now, it's really been kind of growing with the characters, and seeing where they've been ending up in the final season has been absolutely wild. I think they've done a great job with developing a lot of these characters and really making you care. and even taking them down paths where you feel really bad for them, or there's just a lot of things that I think they've done great with its cast of characters and its overarching universe. The biggest change this season is, of course, with Eren. Eren has become like the fucking boogeyman of Attack on Titan. If you don't eat your vegetables, your parents tell you Eren Yeager is gonna visit you. Like, he has become an actual evil person. He's done some fucked up shit, murdering children for the sake of furthering his own goals. It's absolutely a huge change from the character that we've grown to know and love over the years. But I think it's a change that makes sense. I really think Eren ending up where he is right now is a natural development for the character. So I'm totally fine with him becoming a fucking cult leader of the Jaegerists, leading this crazy militia and that's doing their own thing, going against the grain here and going against their island. I'm trying not to get too deep into spoilers, obviously, but it's very huge change from the old Eren, and I think it's done really well. And I think it's very brave to take your main character down this path, because you risk people not being satisfied. You risk people being turned off by it, because I love the character how he was. So the fact that you've evolved him into something different is a big risk that I think a lot of shows are afraid to take, but I'm glad Attack on Titan does go down this path. There's a lot of moving parts to the Attack on Titan universe, and I like that. I really like how they balance all of these things and they deliver a really compelling narrative. And on top of that, Attack on Titan has really great action. Every time Levi's on screen chopping up Titans, it's fucking beautiful. He's doing some crazy acrobatic maneuvers with his mobility gear, going fucking wild. The show, I think, just has it all. There are weaker moments in the series. I can't in good conscience say that this show is perfect, because the only thing perfect is anything Brendan Fraser is in, and Brendan Fraser does not appear in this series, so I can't say that it's perfect and flawless, because there definitely are moments where you'd roll your eyes, or maybe you just get confused, or maybe the exposition dump goes on a little too long. Attack on Titan does have a few episodes where it is pretty much just exposition between two characters, or even just in the head of one character. There's a lot of moments in the series like that might turn people off if they're not drawn into the universe. But I really think overall Attack on Titan is an extremely solid show that lives up to the hype that it receives. I don't think it's overrated by any means. I know there's a lot of those big fucking Twitter hipsters. It's overrated. In fact, you should be watching this show that was made by a 4-year-old in Microsoft Paint. This is the better anime. I know there's a lot of that shit, but I really think Attack on Titan is up there with the hype. I don't think many people will be let down by the show. If you start it and get to the final season, I think there's a big payoff in watching where it is all going. I've really been blown away by the final season. I think it's been great. A lot of people were whining about CGI. The CGI is in Season 4 more than previous seasons, but it's not bad CGI. It's not janky Nintendo 64 cutscenes. It doesn't take you out or make you puke or make it any worse or anything like that. It doesn't detract from the enjoyment. It's put sparingly in places where there needs to be some movement, but they didn't have time to capture it with the full passion they've done with the other scenes in the show. So yes, the astute observer with a galaxy brain will notice some CGI in the season, but it really shouldn't ruin it for you. And if it does, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You need to seek some help or something. It's pretty trivial. It's not consistent and constant and horrible, terrible, awful dog shit CGI. It's fine. So that shouldn't really be a chief complaint of the season. It's definitely not for me. The fight in Marley, I thought, was one of the best in the entire series. The entire Marley arc with Eren that is infiltrated, I thought was some of the hypest shit I've seen in the show. I think it was absolutely fantastic, executed beautifully with some really intense moments. Another thing I saw a lot of people whining and complaining about was Gabby as a character. And that's because Gabby does something I'm not going to spoil, but Gabby does something that a lot of people, fans of the series, didn't like. And I don't think it was bad or done poorly or anything. I actually think Gabby's a pretty strong character. She's like Eren's younger version, but from Marley. She's very similar to how old Eren was. The only thing that she thinks of is death to her enemies. Bringing death and destruction is the only way to be saved. Not too dissimilar from Eren. I really think Gabby was a very strong new character they introduced. Falco, I'm not too big on at the moment. He's not like a bad character or anything, but he just hasn't really had a chance to shine. I'm sure he probably evolves into a better character and a more important one later on, but for now he just seems like someone that gets fucking used as a fleshlight by everybody because he's the only one that seems to have a heart in the show. So right now, Falco doesn't really serve a purpose other than just get fucked up and used. But really, I just don't think there was a single bad moment in season 4 at all. The only time where I found myself a little uninterested was when they were going over the Tibers, and that's only because they had just introduced this character and then exposition fucking diarrheaed about his past. But I ended up still liking him when he was on stage, delivering a really important narrative piece about the history of the Titans. Like, it was really illuminating. He revealed a lot of important information. But that's like the only nitpicky one episode that I can even say had a slow part at all. Everything else I thought was great. I really, really was blown away by season 4. If you've watched the show up until this point, I can't see how you'd be disappointed with season 4. It's just fucking great. The only thing that I can maybe understand people being a little let down by is the fact that they're not out there just peeling dick off of Titans anymore. Like, they're not killing fucking thousands of Titans or getting killed by thousands of Titans like they used to. They've clearly mastered the art of killing Titans, and they're not as much of a threat. Like, they're just normal, standard, vanilla, bland, missionary only kind of Titans. You don't see a whole lot of those being a threat like they used to be. And for some people, maybe that's a turnoff. But for me, I think it's a great evolution of the series. They've been fighting these things for fucking years. They've really learned a lot about the world in season 4. So now the biggest enemies they face are other humans, as well as how these humans are using the Titans that are on their side. And it's just, I really, really, really fucking love Attack on Titan and the direction that it took. I couldn't be happier with the series. Plugging Attack on Titan into the Moist meter, I'm giving it a 90%. I really think this show is extremely strong, albeit, yes, there are flaws. I just can't imagine someone that doesn't at least enjoy the show. You know, maybe there's a few things you don't like about it, but overall, it's hard not to like the show. I think it's fucking beautiful. I think it is really well done, and I think it has a really unique story that it's telling in a very great way. So I'm a huge fan. Attack on Titan final season is an absolute banger. And yeah, that's about it. I'd like to talk to you about bar soap and the discomfort I've experienced in the past using bar soap. Just a lot of shitty chemicals that made me really dry and itchy after a shower. And then recently I found Dr. Squatch products. Dr. Squatch is changing the way men approach hygiene. It provides a natural, healthy product that'll make you smell and feel like a fucking man and a champion. So Dr. Squatch, the scent that I used that really liked the best was the fresh aloe. It smelled good, my skin wasn't dry or itchy, it felt real nice, so that'd be the one I'd recommend as far as the scents go. And it's just overall a much better experience using the Dr. Squatch bar soaps than any of the other ones I've ever used in my life. So if you're interested in trying Dr. Squatch to level up your shower game, you can click the link in the description below to get 20% off on orders of $20 or more at drsquatch.com. So just make sure to click the link below if you're interested, and you can get 20% off on your orders of $20 or more. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Invincible. I knew nothing about this show or the comics that it was based on. I initially thought this was a superhero cartoon for kids because it reminded me of something you'd see on Nickelodeon back in the day on Saturday mornings or some shit like that. I thought it was just a simple show to capitalize off superhero hysteria, just a little Weenie Hut Jr. show for your children to enjoy, but I couldn't have been more wrong. This show absolutely slaps, and it is far cry from for kids. This is a very dark show, and they say fuck, and it's extremely gory, like to a degree that I haven't seen that often in cartoons. And I don't like to make this comparison, but just to kind of give you a general gist of it, it is a little similar to The Boys in its brutality of showing how some of these superpowers would actually work on a real body. So you'll see people fucking blowing up. Their head will get slammed in the ground, and like brain matter will splatter all over the place. They'll shit their pants, and like fucking shit particles will blast against their trousers, and it's pretty graphic, which is surprising because, like I said, I watched episode 1 fully under the impression that this was a kids cartoon. I didn't know shit about Invincible. And really, for like the first 25-30 minutes, I was still like, yeah, you know, this is kind of fun. It's definitely for a younger audience, but there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's just this kid, he's in high school, you know, he's going through puberty, he's learning how his penis works and why it gets hard, he's got these hormones going on, and maybe he'll get superpowers. Nothing too over the top and never seen before. Kind of reminded me of like some early Teen Titans shit a little bit. And then it gets to the end of episode 1, like the last 15 minutes, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? After episode 1's conclusion, I was hooked. And I was so surprised by what I watched there. And I just really fell in love with the show. I think Omni-Man is an incredibly interesting character. I'm not going to spoil anything, of course. But Omni-Man has a lot of depth to his character. The show tackles some dark shit, and it's not afraid to show you some brutal violence. It doesn't pull any punches there. There's a scene pretty early on, the world's being invaded, we need the superheroes to save us, and Invincible's just learning how to use his powers a little bit, and there's an old lady in trouble. Standard superhero shit. So Invincible's going to save the day and be the hero he's born to be. He picks up the old lady, but since he doesn't have his powers totally under control, he just completely fucking folds her like a piece of paper, breaks every bone in her body, fucking blasting blood out of her pores. It's like a frat douchebag that took a beer can and busted it on his forehead, but with a full human being. And then he's like, oh my god, what have I done? And he takes her to the hospital trying to save this mangled corpse of a person that he inflicted, caused. It's wild. Like, it's actually wild. The writing in the show is so good. None of the characters are flat. I find all of the characters to be pretty well-rounded and interesting. I just think Omni-Man really shines in that department. I really enjoy the entire Invincible universe. It's able to keep you hooked, and it's able to be more than just what you see on Earth. There's constant hints of bigger things in the universe out there, and I can't wait to see where they go with that. It's a show that it seems to me like it has so many things it wants to show you, and it's only giving you the smallest side boob preview. You're only seeing like a little bit of the areola and not even getting the full package with the first season here. It's just setting these huge things up. But even doing that with just an appetizer, it was so good. Easily the most impressive thing about Invincible, besides its writing and its narrative, is its animation. Its animation is absolutely incredible. There is obvious CGI at points, and sometimes it is a bit janky a little towards the end, but that's only for like some background stuff. That's not a big deal. But when it comes to a fight, it's beautiful. It is so fluid. In anime, and I don't mean to be blasphemous and call out anime here, but in anime, if you watch a fight scene in some of the big ones, the fight scene will consist of like maybe 2 attacks. Like, I'm using this spell. Yeah! Oh, I got hit by this spell. And now we'll talk for a couple minutes before the next attack is thrown. And like an entire anime fight scene can be broken down into like maybe 4 attacks being thrown in total across the entire fight. In Invincible, you get like fucking 5 minutes of straight fighting where it doesn't stop. Omni-Man's fighting something and he's fighting that shit for minutes constantly, and it's so fluid. It's not just like a still image that they shake, or it's not just him throwing a punch, it freezes and then you see the thing react where it doesn't really connect. It zooms it out and you get to see every single punch being thrown, all of the action where it's not close up and disorienting. You get to see the impact, and they do a great job of selling how strong the characters are. Like, a punch, you can like feel the fucking impact in the show. Like, Omni-Man will deliver like a One Punch Man serious blow, and then whoever he threw it at will fly through a building, fly through buses and cars, and then like blow up half the city. Like, it is huge. And like in most shows, when that happens, you're like, wow, people definitely died during that, but they clearly don't show it because it's a superhero show, so they might as well just not exist. Like, the citizens of the city, it might as well just be empty. In Invincible, you fucking see people dying during that. So like when this person is flying through the air and they crash through a building or like a train or something, you'll see like bodies just fucking burst into blood clouds and mist, be split in half with guts and tits flying all over the place, bowels hanging off of things. It's like, you see the devastation and what can happen with this kind of fight in a populated area. You see all kinds of people getting crushed by falling debris. If a car gets, hit, you'll see the driver blast through the window and die, get cut up by the glass. Like, it's actually extremely intense. The action is on a whole different level. It's probably not what you're used to seeing, because it never stops to like just break down a narrative. They're not like fighting and he'll like throw a punch, the guy reacts to the punch, he's like, oh, I can't believe you've done this, well, I had to do this because of this. He'll throw the punch and then immediately follow it up. Omni-Man will hit someone against the ground, they'll bounce off the ground, and while they're flying up in the air off the momentum from hitting the ground, he'll grab their leg, fucking slam them on the ground again, then he'll fly up even higher, and then he'll chase him up. Like, the fights don't stop. The fights never stop. When there's an action scene, you can expect it to just be full throttle fighting without just stopping to explain something and there's never any cheating in its action where they just shaky cam a still image. It is fluid as fuck. The action is really, really cool in Invincible. I have nothing negative to say about the show. I think Invincible is one of those must-watch cartoons. It is hard to watch Invincible and not compare someone like Omni-Man to someone like From the Boys without getting into any spoilers. So I just highly recommend the show. I went in there with no expectations and in fact under the false pretense that it was a kid's show and was blown away. I think the show is something very special, especially when superhero shit is so boring and done to death. I think Invincible does something very unique. I give Invincible extremely high marks. I give it a 95%. I feel bad because I've been rating things so high recently, but like shit's been good. Like a lot of the shit that's been coming out has been extremely good. I don't know what's been going on. Like we had years of just straight stinkers constantly, and now all of a sudden we're getting some extremely high quality productions like Invincible. I highly recommend it. I think it's great. That's it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Holy shit. The Demon Slayer movie absolutely slaps. I had high expectations of this movie going into it, and they were exceeded. Let's just get right into it. So first of all, as you would expect, the movie is absolutely beautiful. Just truly stunning animation. The first 25 seconds of the intro, I thought I went into the wrong theater because it looked like it was live action. The shit was gorgeous. Every single scene is a masterpiece. It is so good, and I really think seeing it in a theater really helped the experience because there's so much hype in this movie. This movie puts the throttle to the fucking floor and never lets up. This thing turns the bidet on full power and just blasts your asshole off with hype. It is extremely exciting at every point in the movie. Once you hit the second half, it never slows down for even a second, and it is such a gorgeous journey. Every fight, every single movement of the character, every attack is beautiful. I love the way they play with color in the movie. I can't even explain it. It's just so wonderful to look at. Just an orgasm for the eyes to process. It's so much passion clearly put into the animation here to make it look like this that I'm so happy to see be appreciated by so many. Because this is on another level. This shit is absolutely next level animation. I fucking love it. There is CG. There is CG. Right there, that's going to turn people off, I know. But I think the CG is used just fine. It's not glaring or fucking terrible. There is a bit of jank to it occasionally, but it's not like it's that big of a deal. It doesn't take you out of it or ruin the experience, especially when everything is as good as it is in this film. It's not anything that should be like, taking a gold star off of its report card because there's CG in the movie. It's not that big of a deal, and I already know people are going to make a big deal out of it when they see it. It's fucking fine. Just accept it. Stop looking for things to get angry about on Twitter. It's good. It's fucking beautiful. I can't praise the animation enough. Demon Slayer always gets credit for how beautiful it is, and for good reason, because it is truly incredible. And this movie amps it up to the next level. It is so good visually. So now let's get into the story. So this is an actual canon movie. My big complaint about anime movies and why I typically don't even bother seeing them is because they have no effect on the actual anime at all. It has absolutely no effect on the lore or the universe or anything for the most part. Like the My Hero movies have so little to do with the actual show. It's just so separated that it feels meaningless. It's just empty calories. Yeah, they're cool to look at, but what's the point when it doesn't really have much of an impact at all? This is extremely important. Everything that happens in this, it picks up right where the season ended off, and it continues the story, and then it gets you to the next point where it's clearly going to pick up on the next season. All of it is very important, canon, a very meaningful journey that has a lot of weight to it with a lot of important shit that happens, and I think that's extremely good. Because then it doesn't feel like you went on this journey that'll never be talked about or referenced or have any impact on the show. You got to go through this beautiful adventure and get to see where it all leads into the next season. It's great. So the story covers like a small arc in the manga, and I think this was the right call. I am so glad they decided to just condense that arc of the train into a movie instead of just making it like 5 or 6, 7 episodes in a season. I much prefer this because I think it worked really well. Yes, there wasn't a whole ton of time that you could devote to building up the Rengoku character, but I think they did an incredible job with the amount of time they had. by the end of the film, you fucking loved Rengoku, and you got to see a Hashira going all out. So I think they did the right thing here by taking that and turning it into probably one of the most hype anime movies I've ever seen. It was so enjoyable. So I don't think it was a bad call. I know some people said they'd prefer if they had just made it like in a season, made episodes for it to build it more, but I think this was much better. It allowed it to be much more fast paced, and it still made you care for the characters and got you to where they wanted you to be in the story. Now, there's one thing I'd like to point out. This movie is super cheesy. Like, they have some real generic anime shit for its dialogue. And now, Demon Slayer is an unapologetically shonen series. It never really strives to be something like deeper or more like, outside of the shonen realm. So it's not like a big complaint for me or anything. But I mean, this dialed that shit up to like a fucking level 100 here. The raid boss of generic shonen dialogue. Like, when the villain is talking, he's like, I am a cartoonishly evil villain who likes to eat humans. I love the taste of humans because I am just evil demon. Oh, how could an evil demon not win when I'm so evil and you're just good for the sake of being good, you do-gooder? And your friend who is a powerful man is also a do-gooder against me, evil guy. Like, it's this crazy cartoonish villain dialogue that you'd hear like in 1960s superhero cartoons. It's very like, it makes you kind of cringe a little bit, but it's still fine in the context of the movie. But I can tell you, especially getting towards like the second, like getting into the second half, the latter half of it, it gets real on the nose with its dialogue. Like, friendship is power and evil is evil, that kind of shit. So that gets a little grating sometimes. One of my main complaints about Demon Slayer, like the actual show outside of the movie, was I feel like when the character has a trait, like a unique trait about them, they just overdo it and beat the fuck out of it. Like, one of the Hashira's trait will be that they're always distracted, so every time they're on screen, it's, oh, I'm distracted. Shit like that, where they just hammer home one thing about them, and that's all the character is. In the movie, they don't do that. Like, Zenitsu in the show, every time he was on screen, he was crying or whining about something. In the movie, he does still do that, but since it's shorter, they don't just focus on that character trait of him. Now, don't get me wrong, he's fucking slobbering and crying a lot in the film, but it's, like, justified here. It's not just like, oh, Zenitsu's crying again, just classic Zenitsu. Here he does a lot more than that. He goes into his badass state, he has some really good moments, and he's, like, a good comic relief character in the movie as well. So I don't really have any complaints about any of that. Really, if you're interested in even considering seeing Demon Slayer, you've already watched the show. You know what to expect. And I can tell you for sure, you will not be let down. So pop it into the Moist meter, no surprise, 95%. A lot of the anime I've been rating recently has obviously been super high, and I really think it's because the anime has just been super fucking good. Like, I know a lot of people pointed out, like, I'm really generous with anime reviews, but it's just because it's really, really good currently. A lot of these shows are just fucking beautiful, really impressive works of art. And Demon Slayer is absolutely no exception. They went all out here, and it paid off. It's a wonderful film. It's really good. I really, really enjoyed it. Plus, when it comes to anime, if I don't like it, I just drop it. So I never end up moist metering anime I don't like in some way, which is why I haven't really had one that I've rated fucking lower than like a 60. I just wanted to get that out there since this is another anime review, which is a fucking high mark. I just don't have any complaints about it. There's easy things you can pick apart because, like I said, it's very unapologetically shonen, but you already know that going into the movie. It's Demon Slayer, and then it's a Demon Slayer movie. You know what to expect, and they deliver in a big, big way. It's incredible hype, it's incredible fun, so if you like Demon Slayer, you're gonna really enjoy the movie. That's about it. So yeah.
Moist Meter was brought to you by Amazon Music. Sign up for free below using our referral code.
Initiating moisture.
In 2016, a plague swept through movie theaters. A movie so shitty that it nearly killed superheroes for anyone with good taste. And by killing superheroes, I mean killing DC superheroes. I'm talking about Suicide Squad. The first Suicide Squad, I think, is the worst superhero movie to come out in the last 15 years at least. So the new one had some big shoes to fill. And I'm happy to say it's actually really good. It's a very good movie. James Gunn somehow was able to bring the worst superhero movie and make it a very good one. I don't think it's the best or anything, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it. They took characters I'd never heard of and characters I would have come up with as a joke and made them cool. Like Polka Dot Man, a guy who shoots polka dots. That's like some shit I think of for useless superpowers. Like, what did I call him? Not Stinkler, but I had a superhero who could smell the future. Which is a pretty worthless power, but I feel like if I gave that to James Gunn and told him to put it in Suicide Squad 2, he would have made it fucking awesome. I also still had that cool idea of an old lady who every time she gets like to the point of death, like in her late 80s, 90s or something like that, she births herself like a clone of herself with all of her memories. James Gunn, please feel free to use any of these characters in the upcoming Suicide Squad sequel if you're making another one. But the point is, he took characters that have dumb powers like Polka Dot Man and made them very interesting. Not only as characters, but also made their powers cool to watch. So I really enjoyed these characters and seeing them interact with each other. The chemistry between all of them was significantly better than the first one. They're much more likable and they're much more entertaining. The writing is much better. Like, the jokes land. And like the actual physical comedy of some of the fights works. It's everything the first one could have been. It's done very well. And the action scenes, they're brutal, they're goofy, and the whole movie pretty much knows not to take itself too seriously. That's not to say that there aren't emotional moments. There definitely are emotional beats in the movie, and I think when they're there, they're good. I don't think they're that, compelling, but for what the movie is, I think when it tries to make you feel something for a character, it accomplishes that goal. My favorite character is the street shark. I think the shark guy in the Nawe is really fucking cool. He's just a shark. He doesn't have any friends, and he starts to make some friends. It's just, I don't know, it worked for me. I thought it was good. I also really love the style of editing in this movie. Like, for example, one of Harley Quinn's best scene, in fact, probably one of the best scenes in the movie, is a really long action scene with Harley Quinn just fucking taking down hordes of bad guys. And throughout the choreography's good, the action's good, but it'll have these moments where she's fucking akimboing assault rifles with, like, animated flowers pouring out of the back of them, and then, like, little birds flying around that are animated. I don't really have too many complaints about the movie. That's not to say it's perfect or anything, but one thing that did stand out to me is I felt like at points James Gunn introduced so many characters and didn't use half of them, especially early on in the film. I understand that some characters are brought in just as throwaways, and in this movie just for jokes, but it still would have been nice to at least see a moment or two with some of the characters doing something, really anything. But that's just more of a personal preference. I don't think it's a detriment to the movie, since they are there as a punchline sometimes, and sometimes the death of a character is actually used as a fucking joke. So I get that, but I still think it would have been nice to see some of the characters have at least one moment before they're sent away to the fucking Shadow Realm. And that's not exclusive to just throwaway characters that were there for like a one-off joke. Some of the core characters of the Suicide Squad, like the actual cast that goes on the adventure and makes shit happen, there's two characters I feel that did nothing. They didn't really contribute to the overall goal. They were just kind of there. Like, if they weren't there, it would have played out exactly the same. So that was a little disappointing. I still think they were good characters, and them being there added to the movie, but like thinking about it narratively, they didn't do anything. They didn't have any moments of importance, though I did still enjoy their presence. I'll mention what two characters I'm talking about right after I give the score, so there will be a bit of spoilers after the score. But for now, let me just go ahead and tell you, I'm giving Suicide Squad, the new Suicide Squad, the good Suicide Squad, a 90%. I really enjoyed it. I think there's a lot to like about it. There's a lot of action. There's a lot of good jokes. Not that that's something entirely unique to superhero movies, but it does it really well, I thought. It was an enjoyable 2 hours and 12 minutes spent watching this. Now into the spoilers to explain more what I meant. So, I unfortunately think King Shark didn't do anything, and I also don't think Polka Dot Man did anything. Their presence there was fun for the team, and I think they added a human element to the chemistry, but it also would have happened without them too, I think. So the relationship between Ratcatcher and Bloodsport, I feel, was already developing before Polka Dot Man and King Shark. So what really kind of happened is Ratcatcher noticed King Shark doesn't have friends. King Shark tries to eat her, and she's like, hey, well, why don't we just all be friends? And that kind of like plants the seed that, oh, this is going to be kind of like a group of friends. But I feel like that was already going to happen because Ratcatcher was just such a likable character and already talking to everyone else. So I just don't think King Shark did anything. Of course, he had some good kills. He ate some people, which is cool. But those people were going to die to the other members anyway because everyone in this movie is just a giant fucking meat balloon to be popped by the main characters. So King Shark killing a couple of them, not even many, I think he only has like 5 kills total. It didn't really do much to add to it, and he didn't really contribute to their plans. When the big bad supervillain alien's introduced, he kind of just nibbles on the arm a little bit before being thrown away. He plants one explosive, which is helpful, but it's not like that made or break the mission. And then for Polka Dot Man, he just actually does nothing. He has 2 confirmed kills, but his polka dots were cool. So he fires them at a structure. The structure falls and the guys fall. I don't think they died. Well, they might have. But then he actually vaporizes 2 people with his polka dots, and that's it. After that, all he really does is bring this element of goofiness, how he pictures everyone as his mother. I think that's enjoyably comedic. But he doesn't really do anything narratively to push it forward or help with the overall goal. He's just kind of along for the ride and having fun. And he reminds the crew about Milton and Milton's death, which again was just another joke. So it's not like he really had a moment. Yes, during the climactic boss fight, he like shoots the leg off, but that didn't do much because it just gets the leg back before he gets taken out. So I don't know. I just felt like they could have done a little bit more with those two to just give them a moment of importance to the film. I enjoyed them, of course. I think they were great, but it would have been nice to see them actually contribute heavily to the goal because every other character does. Every other character you see is pivotal to pushing it forward and reaching its conclusion, but those two are just more along for the ride and for the comedic relief and fun for the audience. And I think they accomplished that goal, but I just started to really care for the characters, so would have liked to see them have something impactful happen. So that's really about it. It's a good movie. I recommend it. That's about it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. It's a new Marvel movie, and as I've said in the past, I don't really get excited for Marvel shit anymore. I find it to always be enjoyable when I do watch it, but it's hard to get like hyped up about it, like fucking pumping my fist in the air like, yeah, more Marvel. Because every single week there's something new from Marvel, it feels like. So I've just been inundated with the superhero shit from them. So I had no clue what this movie was. I'd never heard of it before. I never knew it was coming out. The title even confused me. I thought it was like an Ariana Grande thing with the 10 rings or some shit. So I had no expectations of this movie at all. And I don't know the character Shang-Chi. The only thing I knew about this is that people seemed to really like it on Twitter. And that was enough to convince me that it was worth going to the theater to see. And I'm happy to say they were right. The movie is really good. I had a great time watching it. This movie's pretty different from other MCU movies, at least in the first half of it, where it focuses on martial arts for its action. And the martial arts is really good. Like, it's very competent. I've talked about this before, but I grew up on martial arts movies. When I was a kid, I would watch the shit out of every Jet Li and Jackie Chan movie possible. I was importing fucking Jackie Chan VHS tapes. Well, not me personally, because I was like 8 years old, and I didn't know how to use the internet or how to like import things. I just knew how to piss my pants and cry. So my parents would get like these VHS tapes of Jackie Chan. A lot of them weren't even like English dubbed, so I wouldn't even understand the dialogue, but I would understand the ass beating that I was watching. So martial arts movies, probably the most like sentimental genre to me, and I have the softest spot for it. I love martial arts movies. I think they're extremely entertaining. They're just absolutely a joy to watch, and Shang-Chi does a great job with all of its martial arts fighting scenes. I mentioned it's only in the first half though, like where it really shines, and that's because in the second half of the movie, it focuses more on your standard MCU shit, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it looks good and it still is really cool to watch. But I have to say I was a bit disappointed because the first half has all this great martial arts action with like a camera that just sits there and lets you like soak in the good choreography in the martial arts. There's even like moments where I got Jackie Chan vibes where Shang-Chi, he gets his jacket ripped off, he uses his jacket as a weapon, he puts his jacket back on, takes his jacket back off, whips someone's dick hole right off with it, puts his jacket back on. Like, it was really cool. The martial arts was great. And then in the second half, it completely gets overshadowed by your standard like superhero stuff. All of a sudden then you get introduced to like magical items and magical things and a big spectacle of CGI, and there is no martial arts left. And like I said, it's not bad because it still looks good. It is still entertaining, but it is disappointing to go from like this really cool, martial arts where you can feel like the impact. You can see like a lot of the cool influences from like Jackie Chan's timeless work kind of put in there and then thrown away for the second half. A little disappointing, but it is still fine. Like, I wasn't like mad at the ending and how it went or anything. I still had a great time. I just would have liked to see the martial arts still carry the torch of like, this is our prime action for this movie, as opposed to going like, okay, now we've had martial arts, now it's time for CGI fest of magical superpowers and magic items. So, not really like a huge complaint, but it is something that I wanted to at least mention. I think the big standout in this movie is the villain, though. I really like the villain, Mandarin. He was really a great villain. He wasn't like this cartoonishly evil guy. And I know I've said this about quite a few villains now, but it seems like movies are finally starting to get it that people don't really like the cartoonishly evil, dumb, stupid numbnuts that isn't like a relatable or understandable character. Like, Black Widow had this problem where its villain was just fucking super stupid. I think it's been long enough now I can just talk about it. Like, his superpower, if you can call it that, is he's stinky, he smells. So when he gets smelt, he can no longer be damaged by the person that smells him. Like, that's super dumb. Like, that's really dumb, and the character didn't have, like, an emotional story. I didn't like anything about that guy. But in a couple other movies as well from the Marvel Universe, I think they do a good job with their villains, and I think Mandarin is one of their best. He's a character that has a really tragic story. He was a very cartoonishly evil guy at one point, but then he meets a woman that changes everything for him, and she becomes his entire world. And I don't want to get into spoilers here, but things start to change, and his entire character revolves around the loss of his wife and how he's coping with it, how he's dealing with it, and the grief that follows. And I think it just does a great job. I think the villain is someone that you can understand the perspective of when you're watching the movie, and maybe even at times root for. It's just a really well-written villain, played beautifully by the actor. I believe it's Tony Leung. I'm not super familiar with their work, but I thought he did a great job of portraying like this villain who really has an emotional story and is going on a journey for a reason I think a lot of people will be able to like understand and really really get. It's not like a villain that you're like constantly rooting against, like, we gotta fucking kill this guy, take his goddamn head off, this is a bad guy. I don't think anyone's gonna go watch this movie and be like, yeah, that guy's fucking evil, So I just thought that was really like a big moment that stood out to me. Like, this is a really cool villain. And the other characters are fine too. I think Shang-Chi was done really well, mainly because they were just like a super fucking turbo badass for the whole movie. I also like Awkwafina's character as the comic relief, though she's not like an annoying comic relief. She's there to make jokes sometimes, but also be serious when it's needed too. So it's not like too much or anything. But there is a character that I would like to talk about a little bit more, and that's Shang-Chi's sister in this movie. Now, I don't think she's like a bad character, I just don't think they even remembered she was in the movie at certain points. When she is on screen, she's usually putting fist to asshole. Like, she is going hard, she's beating a lot of dudes up, and it looks great. I also like her signature weapon of like the little knife on a string. I've always liked that weapon. I don't know what the fuck it's called, but I think it's a really cool weapon to watch, and when she uses it, it's very nice to look at. But she's not really like an important character in the story, it feels like. She doesn't really have like her signature moment where it's like, man, we would have been fucked if she wasn't here. Whereas even the comic relief character has probably one of the most important moments in the whole film. So I would have liked to see her be more important to the actual narrative and pushing things forward, but it is still just really cool watching her fight because she's really fucking cool. But anyway, let's just plug this into the Moist Meter. I think Shang-Chi is a really enjoyable Marvel movie. I think this is one of their better ones in recent times. I'm going to give this an 85% because I do feel like there is a period where it does drag a bit and doesn't really get a whole lot done in that time frame, and I also was a bit disappointed by a couple other things towards the end. But other than that, I really, really enjoyed it. I fucking love martial arts movies, and this felt to me like an old school martial arts movie for at least half the runtime, and god damn it, I'll take what I can get. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.
Initiating moisture.
Welcome to the Moist Meter. Today we're taking a look at the new James Bond film, No Time to Die. James Bond is a franchise that's pretty near and dear to me. As a kid, my parents had like the entire set of James Bond films on VHS, and I watched them all the fucking time. Specifically, GoldenEye. I must have rewatched that movie 100 times, and that movie still holds up today. That shit still slaps ass hard. It is so good. And of course, the games back then on the N64, oh, classics. So James Bond is definitely a franchise that's always gotten me excited and made me feel nostalgic. Even when new ones come out, it's always like getting to revisit an old friend. And Daniel Craig era Bond films are extremely good. I think they're very high quality, albeit very different from the earlier Bond films. His are far darker and take themselves more seriously, but I still enjoy them. And this is the last movie to conclude that era of Daniel Craig as Bond. And I think the movie does a nice job of wrapping it all up. I think it's a satisfying conclusion, albeit not perfect by any means, but still a really enjoyable ride one last time with Daniel Craig as Bond. So let's get into it. Daniel Craig plays a much more vulnerable Bond this time around. The movie starts with him being retired, and we get to see what that looks like for him. And surprise, surprise, it looks a lot like when he's not retired, where he's getting fucking blasted and peppered with bullets all hours of the day. Shit's going wild and wacky. He's jumping off of bridges just to survive. People around him just getting hit by cars and executed in the streets. Fucking mangled corpses littered everywhere. So, retirement's kind of shitty, to be honest. But we get to see him be far more emotional this time around because he's spending his time with a woman that he loves, and we get to see what James Bond caring for someone really looks like. For the longest time, James Bond, not just Daniel Craig era, but James Bond in general, has been a character where every movie he fucks a different woman, and then the woman will die, and he's just like, shucks, what in tarnation, she's dead? Who was that again? Oh, yeah, we had sex once, I don't really care. Like, he gets over it real quick. Even if they have, like, a connection that seems strong in the movie, when they die, it's just like, he'll kick some sand and be like, damn, and then move on, and, they never really address it again. It's completely different this time around, whereas in other Bond films, James will get told, like, hey, remember that girl that you were in love with, like, 5 minutes ago? Well, she fell into a wood chipper, and she's dead now. And James is just like, a wood chipper? Oh, no, yucky. Well, I'm gonna go get a martini now. And then everyone just forgets about her. This time, this is woman he will do anything for. And we get to see that side of him where he's emotional. We get to see what him caring about someone looks like, which is something that I can't recall ever really being explored that thoroughly in the James Bond franchise. And I think it's nice. It's good to see that here, to have that kind of development with the Daniel Craig James Bond character. And I also do welcome that they added a little more lightheartedness to some of the scenes. Like I said, the Daniel Craig era has been much darker, which I think is fine. I think that's great. But it's also nice to have a little bit of that campiness from the originals kind of shine through sometimes here. They'll have some goofy lines out of nowhere, like he'll just murder someone and then make a joke about it, like, yeah, I blew this guy's mind, and his fucking brain matters all over the place. It's nice to see that campiness. It's not like super prevalent in the film. It's not all the time, but when it's there, it's like a nice little refreshing treat that I think a lot of Bond fans will appreciate. Really, overall, I had a great time watching this movie. Like I said, it's not perfect, and I'll get to that in a minute, but I think the narrative here and the choices they made with the story were really smart. So they bring a lot of familiar faces back. Spectre's the main antagonist here. That's not a spoiler. You're getting a lot of Spectre stuff going on. But then as it continues to evolve, you get to be introduced to a couple of new faces here. And I think one of them that's very strong is, of course, the one that most of you are familiar with from the trailers, Rami Malek. He plays really the big bad guy, the raid boss here. And I think as a character, he's a bit weak, but the performance from Rami really helps elevate it. The character, I think, is a bit silly at times. They really like plants, and they're not happy about stuff, so they're going to use plants to take their revenge and like hurt people because of plants. And with plants, it's just it's a little goofy sometimes. And I think some of the things the character does and says are very, very silly. I don't want to get into spoilers. I still think overall it's a villain that's pretty good. It's definitely a strong final villain, just a bit goofy at times. But anyway, I don't have any real complaints about the story. One thing I was worried that might happen with the film is that the 007 replacement, now this isn't a spoiler, this is also in the trailers, since 007 was assumed dead or retired, they do have a replacement for him. I was a bit worried that they were going to be the focal point of the film and James would take a backseat to his own movie. I was kind of expecting that because we've seen it before in a couple of films, but I was happy to see that they really share the stage well together. The new 007 and James Bond, they work really well together, and when they're fighting and beating ass and, blasting skulls, it's really great to see that. I think she does a great job. She's never like, in your face, James, you fucking suck, you're old and wrinkly and you smell like dick. She's pretty respectful of him. It's like a playful banter between her and James Bond when they're on screen, and it evolves into a pretty solid chemistry between the two of them when you get to the final act. So I really thought they did a good job with her character. And one thing that this movie does extraordinarily well with is action. The set pieces here are fucking beautiful most of the time. And the action is great. It's really grounded in reality. There's nothing like outlandish here that happens, and it's never like hard to look at where it's jarring cuts that make it really difficult to see what's actually going on. It doesn't obscure the action. You get to just watch James Bond be a badass. You get to watch current 007 be a badass, and you're never like bored. There's a character in here that I wish they had more of, and I don't think this is a spoiler, she's in the trailer, played by Ana de Armas, I believe her name is. I think that's correct. She plays a character that James Bond meets, and then they work together in order to just fucking obliterate an entire town, and she is great. Like that entire fight sequence where her and James are working together, I thought was spectacular. All of the action in this movie is just so good. James just being like the ultimate killing machine, 007 also just going wild on a bunch of bad guys. Like, what more could you want from James Bond besides beautiful action and a fun ride? And I think this delivers on that for sure. Now, I want to get to my complaints, though. I think one of the big things that this movie kind of fumbles with is getting from point A to point B. Like, to me, sometimes it feels like things are a bit off, as if like things were cut together incorrectly. So you'll go from one thing to the next and nothing that really bridges that gap. It's hard for me to explain without getting into spoilers, which I don't really feel like doing for this one. It's just sometimes there's like a lack of reason behind things that happen, in my opinion. Like, maybe I missed it, like maybe I'm just too fucking stupid sometimes, but I feel like some of the plot elements here just don't add up. Alright, fuck it. Real quick spoiler warning, because this is the one that I want to talk about. So spoiler warning, let's get that out of the way. Okay, and now I want to talk about it. So one of the biggest things that happens at the beginning of the movie is James and Madeline, they're hanging out. They're enjoying retirement together. They're madly in love. They're making out. They're fucking and shit. And then he goes and visits the grave of Vesper, which is a character that you'll know from the previous Bond films. He goes and visits her grave, and then all of a sudden an explosion happens. The grave blows up right in his face. He gets sent back, and then he's dazed, and then getting hunted by all kinds of people, all bad guys after him. And then he goes back to Madeline and thinks he's been betrayed by her, so he sends her on a train, never to see her again. And then it's revealed in a big twist that she never betrayed him. It was actually Blofeld from Spectre. And my immediate question when this was revealed is, why? Like, he just randomly placed a bomb at that gravesite, hoping James would go visit it at some point, and then he did, and then finally this plan gets to spring into action. Like, what the fuck was the point? Is it just like an epic prank or something? And his explanation is even sillier. He's like, I knew you would suspect her. And then I wanted you to live in a world that's as lonely as the one you put me in. Because he abandoned the girl that he loved, thinking that he had been betrayed by her. And it's like, that's such a gamble. Like, there's a very good chance he just would never go visit that grave. Ever. And there's also an even smaller chance that he would visit the grave while you also have bad guys nearby and a bomb that's been waiting there for God knows how long. It could have been a dud for how long it must have been, just like collecting dust. It's very silly. And it's also dumb in retrospect because He even says, or she even says, "Why would I betray you, James?" And he never has an answer for it. So he never stops to ask himself, why would she betray him? He just immediately assumes she must have, without even considering the alternatives of maybe it was someone else of the millions and millions of people that are hunting him. Maybe it was one of them that don't like him, as opposed to the girl that's doing everything for him, staying by his side, and then again asking him, challenging him, like, why would I do this, James? And he never even bothers to even like think about it. He's just like, yeah, I got betrayed. Fuck, can't trust women out here, I guess. Like, it's just a bit weird. Okay, spoilers are over. So to me, there's just certain things about the plot that don't work. They don't add up, and it just gets a little off the rails and a bit silly. It's also a really long movie. It's almost 3 hours. It's 2 hours 43 minutes. So strap in for a long ride with this one. And also get used to seeing James just eat explosions. The amount of times like a grenade will go off in his goddamn stomach and he'll just get blown back and be like, yeah, that's fine, I'm good. Like, ears are ringing a little bit, but he cleans them out with his finger and he's back to normal, is shocking. You know, he's blown up in this movie constantly. Literally sitting on just dynamite, and he'll just be fine when it blows up. So also get used to seeing that, because that happens like 3 or 4 times in this one. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. Plugging No Time to Die into the Moist meter, I'm giving it a nice 85%. That's a little high, I think, like maybe an 85%. I really enjoyed it, but there are things here that I don't think worked super well for the film. But overall, it's hard not to really appreciate what it did. I think this was a great finale to the Daniel Craig era of Bond. I had a lot of fun watching it, and I had a big smile on my face to see it all play out. And I know Daniel Craig has said he's really tired of playing James Bond at some point, or at least I read that. But he did such a great job with this one. I think he did it justice, and he really put it all on the line to give a great conclusion to a character that a lot of people really like. So I think the movie's good. I had a good time with it, and that's about it. I'm a man who values hygiene, but not just good hygiene, the best hygiene, which is why I use Dr. Squatch. Dr. Squatch has the best products to really take your shower game to the next level. They just provide you with high-performing, high-quality soaps that use natural ingredients with really great scents. The one that I've been using is the Wood Barrel Bourbon. This is my fresh one. I have a couple of these, and I've been really enjoying that one. It makes you feel like a man and smell like a champion. For a long time, I've used liquid soap, but ever since trying Dr. Squatch, it makes me not want to ever go back to that, because Dr. Squatch is just the best bar of soap I've ever tried. So if you're interested in trying Dr. Squatch products for yourself, use code MOIST and click the link in the description below to get up to 20% off of orders of $20 or more. It's code MOIST and clicking the link in the description below for 20% off of orders of $20 or more at Dr. Squatch.